Today we're going to be removing some water spots off of a hood of a vehicle. At times, water spots can be very difficult to remove, but with some really simple tips, you can actually remove them pretty easily. We're going to be going through all of that today. We're going to be using some distilled water, some vinegar, and polishing compound, as well as a DA or dual action polisher. This is a really simple thing to do if you just follow the tips in this video. Let's get started. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Bubbas Fabrication here, where we motivate do-it-yourselfers to do it yourself. Let's get these water spots removed off the vehicle. All right, so we're gonna be pulling all of the water spots out of this paint. And I know it can be kind of challenging to see right now, but this vehicle is really bad. It sat on a dealer's lot for quite a while. I don't know if you can see this. It's actually a 2019 F-150, but you can see the water spots across the front of here. So I'm gonna be showing you guys how to remove that. To be honest with you, there's a lot of ways to do this and some specific products that you can use in order to remove the spot. But I am kind of in a time crunch right now, and I don't have time to order any specific water spot removal products that are worth anything. So what we're gonna be using is some vinegar. It is distilled vinegar and distilled water. It's a 50-50 mix. And we're gonna spray the entire hood and let it sit for a few minutes. Once it's sat for a few minutes, then we're gonna wipe it off with a microfiber rag or towel. And once that's done, it's not gonna remove everything, but then after that's complete, we're actually going to cut and polish this hood, and I'll show you the entire process and how we do that. Pretty simple, a little bit time consuming. We just wanna make sure that we get all these water spots off the hood. They look really bad. Let's get to it. I wanna try to not to get any of this vinegar on the actual plastic itself. So I'm actually gonna come this way, kind of spray away from the plastic. It's not the end of the world if you get a little bit on there, but you just wanna try to keep the majority of it off. We'll come across the center as well. And again, this is distilled white distilled vinegar and water. It's a 50-50 mix. For any of the spray that doesn't get up near the cowl, because we're trying to stay away from it, we can wipe that area with the rag that has the distilled vinegar on it. So that's not a concern. So we're gonna let this sit for just a couple minutes, and then we're gonna wipe it all off, and then we can get into the cut and or compound and polish section of this. I wanna note too that the vinegar on this hood, vinegar is fairly acidic, so you definitely want to reapply some type of sealant or wax afterwards, because the vinegar will take that off. So make sure that you're prepared as far as time goes to be able to reapply some type of sealant to the paint afterwards. Okay, so we've let this sit for about 3 minutes, and I'm gonna very lightly start wiping down the hood. Again, I am not expecting this to take all of the water spots off. In fact, it's probably not gonna take any off if they've been on there for a while. But it does make a difference as far as the outer rings, and it does help so you don't have to polish as much or cut too much off of the clear coat when you go to polish the paint. So you don't want to apply too much pressure either. It's just kind of almost like the weight of the rag. We're going to take all of this off, all of the vinegar. Again, we're trying to keep it off the plastics as much as possible. My rag at this point is pretty soaked, so I'm just kind of still massaging it and very lightly trying to pull off all of that junk. Then I'll flip over to a dry side of the rag and use that to just take the final amount off. One thing I'll mention too that I actually forgot to at the beginning of the video is you do not want to do this if your vehicle is not clean. So if it's dirty, all you're going to be doing at this point is rubbing any of the contaminant right into the paint. So you're going to want to wash it first. Make sure you do that before you do this. Now again, I'm not sure how well you can see this on the camera, but there are still a lot of water spots and it's still drying at this point. We're gonna go ahead and get out the polisher and start polishing the paint, and I'll show you what products we're using for that as well. I'm going to try this product first. This is Meguiars 205. It's a polish instead of a compound. We're gonna try this first to see if we can remove the water spots with just this. If we can't do that, then we're gonna change the pad on the polisher and we're gonna go to like basically a compound. I'm gonna use 205 and a orange Lake Country pad. So we're gonna try that first, and we're gonna basically look at a before and after on if it's gonna be enough to remove the water spots. You never wanna take more off of the paint than you have to do any kind of repair, that kind of thing. So we're gonna try to do just the least abrasive option first, and if that doesn't work, then we'll step it up. So I've got some pad conditioner on this pad here, and I'm just gonna do a couple of dots just to kind of get things going here. And we're just gonna try it out on a little section so that we can compare it to how it was looking before. So we'll start off on this little front section here, and we'll kind of do more or less kind of a before and after and see how things do. We're gonna put this on about 3.5 speed and go to town. Let me grab a rag. We'll go ahead and wipe that off. This just may be me, but I always like these really high pile towels to remove polish. It seems like they just do a pretty good job at removing it. It may appear I'm actually not rubbing very hard on this to remove it. It's actually not all coming off. There's a little bit of haziness left. So I'm gonna spray just a little bit of 90% alcohol, 1:1, on this hood here. And that'll help us remove any of the leftover residue from this area. And again, it's just super light pressure. I'm gonna flip the rag over so we can just make sure to get what's left, and we can re-inspect once this area dries. One thing I like about alcohol is it also dries very quickly. So you can kind of see your results pretty quick if you do need that to help remove the compound. So I actually think that that's gonna do the trick. Definitely gonna need maybe a couple more passes on it, but I think that's gonna be able to take off anything that we need to be taken off. So we're gonna continue this process throughout the rest of the hood here, and we'll bring you back to show you the final results. Okay, so now the entire hood has been polished, and the next step that I'm gonna do is actually take another brand new, as in clean, high pile microfiber towel. I'm going to take my 90% alcohol, and I'm actually gonna spray the entire hood and do a final wipe down with this rag. And then I'll show you basically what the hood looks like. Now, because we polished it and we didn't actually use any kind of compound on the hood, there are some deeper scratches that didn't come out, and I did not intend them to. My biggest point was actually just to get the water spots off of the hood. We're gonna be doing a lot more polishing, cutting, that kind of thing on this channel. So if you are interested in that kind of thing, hit that subscribe button down below. But for the purposes of this video, I just wanna show you how to get the water spots off. So I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of coat the whole hood. Pretty lightly with this alcohol. Again, it's alcohol and distilled water that I'm using. It's 90% alcohol is the type of alcohol. And then I'm just using distilled water. It's mixed 50-50. And I'm just gonna go over the entire hood and just make sure that any of that wax residue or the polishing residue has been removed. You can flip over your towel a couple times just to make sure you're getting everything removed properly. The reason that I'm doing this is we don't want any polish left over, because we're gonna apply a wax or a sealant to this hood. And we just want to make sure that all of that is removed so that the wax can adhere properly to the paint or sealant or whatever that you're using. I kind of been thinking about this for a minute. I think I'm going to use just a paste wax on the hood for now. I'm actually going to be polishing this whole entire vehicle, but I can't get to that for a couple of days. So for the time being, I'm just going to put a paste wax on the hood to make sure that we preserve it and no more water spots happen to find their way onto the hood. Again, I'm just trying to make sure it's dry. So again, this is not a Ferrari by any means. We didn't go above and beyond on pulling out all of the scratches, that kind of thing. We're just focusing on the water spots. So I'll kind of take you across the front of this now. And it really helps to have a detailing light. If you don't have one, just a regular flashlight does the trick pretty well. But as you can see, 99% of the water spots have been removed. There's a couple places where there's actually paint chips, but there was a significant amount of water spots on this hood. And again, I know it's hard to tell just because of the light and stuff, but I believe really 99 or better of the water spots on this hood have been removed. So I'll show you guys basically how to put a wax on this now. It's very simple to do. Okay, so I actually just checked and I'm out of paste wax. So we're gonna be using this Ice Seal and Shine. It's by Turtle Wax. I actually have a review on this product and how to apply it. But for the purpose of this video, I'll go ahead and show you how to do so. It's super simple. Their directions basically say 2 sprays per panel. Being that this is the hood, we'll use a couple more than that. We're gonna basically spray it on, wipe it in, give it about 30 seconds-ish, and we're gonna go ahead and remove it. We use a little bit more than 2 on the hood. It's a larger area. Kind of smells like grapes. I'm gonna fold my microfiber towel into 4ths, and I'm gonna go ahead and start wiping all of this into the paint, and it's gonna kind of leave a little bit of residue left. And then we're gonna come back with a dry side of the towel. You'll kind of see it hazing up a little bit. This is a sealant. Works really well actually, especially for something like this. But we'll kind of wipe this in, and again, you can probably see it hazing up a little bit. That's what it's supposed to do. Get the rest of the hood. Try to stay off the plastics the best you can. And then about the time that I'm done with this fender over here, I can come back with the dry side of the towel that I haven't used yet, and we're gonna really lightly buff any of the residue off the paint at this point. When you're working on cars and stuff, it's always important, especially doing any kind of polishing, make sure that you have some kind of shirt or jacket on that doesn't have any sharp like zippers on it. The last thing you want to do is finish your hood and then catch your zipper on your paint. That would really be kind of annoying. So make sure you have some kind of hoodie on that doesn't have any kind of sharp edges on it for whatever reason, or button, and even try to stay off it even at that point. This is the final product. It's going to be perfectly fine to bead water and that sort of thing for the next few days until I get to the rest of the truck. We're gonna film that and we'll be posting it on the channel. If you guys are interested in any of the products that we used on this video or materials, I'm gonna be posting them in the description below, and you can find those on Amazon. Thanks again for watching. Please comment down below and subscribe if you like to watch this kind of content and like to learn more about cars.